What's up, broadcasters? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Branding Banter, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, Director of National Sales at Hidware USA.
And I'm Meg Gerber, the CXO for the Barker Buoy.
I'm Sarah Goshgirian-Unruh, and we have a fun new guest with us today.
Yes, we do. We got Katie Grimes here from Made to Order. Super excited to have Katie on. Katie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing all right.
Fantastic. You guys made a pretty new recent hire. Friend
We
of
did.
all of ours.
We've got Britt.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes, I'm
She's
very
great.
excited for her to be a part of the team.
Love
Hey,
it.
we want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself because I'm sure there's some people out there that don't know who you are. And so we want to give you the opportunity to sort of introduce yourself and tell us maybe how you got started in the promotional products industry.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. Katie Grimes, official title is account executive at Made to Order. I actually got my industry start on the supplier side. I was with Org Audio originally back. I started in 2018 under Mike Simzak and Jason Lukash through the acquisition to HPG. I jumped to the distributor side at the end of 2020. I got hired with Red Promotions, who was then acquired by Made to Order middle of last year, as I'm sure you're all familiar with. So supplier to distributor, grateful for the supplier side, but I prefer the distributor side. So
That's really interesting because I think all three of us have had a little bit of a stint on both sides of the industry, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us that have done that have landed more on the supplier side.
Mhm.
interesting.
What's
Yeah,
my preference?
I've heard the same, and I actually have recognized I'm a little bit of a black sheep for this take. And no disrespect to you suppliers, I love you. Thank you for all your great product. I think the side's a little more creative. It allows me a lot more flexibility in the products I pitch and what I try to get out there in the world.
It's funny. I actually was texting with Lauren Dustin. So she's over at Concord yesterday. And we had the same conversation. And she's like, I often wonder if the supplier side is the other. And I was like, it's so funny. It's just depends upon who it is that you're chatting with. And I think it speaks true as to like what side of the brain. I don't know that you live the most, if you will, but I can see that 1,000% of how the distributor side allows for more of that creative blood to just come through, because you get to say like, I did this from a project standpoint, or that went viral or whatever, which is pretty awesome.
There's
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
pros and cons to both sides for sure.
Yeah, I think at the supplier side, you are limited to your product, right? So at the end of the day, you're relying on me as a distributor to sell your product, but my end user might ultimately decide, hey, they want a jacket over a backpack. And you guys did a great job selling me that backpack, but that's the end of your road, where my road has to continue to get my end user what they want. So that's kind of where I think like you are kind of stuck in your lane, unfortunately. And once that lane kind of ends, my end user decided they wanted a dang jacket. So
yeah, 100%. You can only drive the sales so far. And so it is one of those things. I remember my very first, so whenever I first came from the distributor side to supplier side, I went to Logomark and I was a regional sales manager at Logomark. And I remember walking into one of my first meetings inside of a distributor's office, and I walked out and I called, my mom and dad, like whenever I was in the car, to like tell them about like how my first like outside sales call went, if you will, and everything. And they were like, so did you get the order? And I was like, like it doesn't work that way. Like you don't walk in and like walk out with a PO or an order. So it's very, very different from like your typical sales, if you will. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, before we launch into the topic today, I feel like we should give you a little bit of recognition because you finally won in fantasy football.
I know. Can you
Okay.
believe it?
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am
For
now
those of
1-5.
Hold on. For those of you that was watching the episode last week with Drew, where we were going against each other, she didn't win against me. No. She won the following week. Okay.
1 point. Like I would
You know why?
if it ended in a tie, but 1 point. I was so
You know why,
sad
Sarah? You know why?
because I spoke.
Yep. You talked shit before the game was over.
Yeah.
Oh, I crushed it, apparently.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
lost
going
this
to be.
week myself, so
Do you
What
do
was that,
fantasy,
Katie?
Katie?
we do have a made to order fantasy team. I have no idea what I'm doing. I entered last year for the first time just to hang with the team, and I am now obsessed with it. I still have no idea what I'm doing. I'm kind of middle of the road. I think I'm in third at the moment, but I did get my butt handed to me this week, so it's all good.
Who's winning?
I think Matt Poole. We have 2 leagues because the amount of people we have. We've got a little bit of a rivalry going between first and second last year, who were first and second this year. So I'm kind of just letting them fight it out in our team's chat.
Yeah.
All right.
You'd be
Who's
the
winning
Sneak up
early?
quietly in the
be
background.
another like black sheep moment of like you come in from behind and you're like, so.
I was actually last year. I had beginner's luck there for a minute, even though I had no idea what I was doing, dropping players I had no business dropping, and then the ending playoffs got me. So I got humbled a little bit towards the end last year.
I love it. It's fun. I was glad I got included this year. So I get
Oh,
to,
it's more fun. It's definitely more fun.
yeah.
Well, we definitely wanted to give Sarah her props, but it's time to get down to business, folks.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we want to
really
talk.
excited to talk to Katie about this. So
Yeah. So we want to talk about sort of something that you've been doing, Katie. You said that you're part of a sales organization or sales team outside of the industry. So I'm really excited to hear about that because I don't think that's something a lot of people do. But then what you guys are doing is very, very interesting. So why don't you just launch us into how you got started with this sales team and what it's done for you, first of all?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I actually got brought in courtesy of my best friend who actually used to be in the industry, is no longer. He
Meg Erber?
kept, huh?
Is it Meg Erber?
It's not, unfortunately.
Oh.
I'm sure Meg would have introduced me though had she had the opportunity. It is a sales collective, sales group, whatever you'd like to call it. There are about 50 of us now. When I started, there was only 30. And it is a group primarily, it used to be primarily male. When I started, I was one of 4 females. There is now, I think, 10 to 12 females, which has been very exciting. For lack of a better term, it started as a bunch of tech bros. It's a lot of male, it's completely male dominated. A lot of them are in the tech or SaaS space. And what it is like one of the greatest communities I've ever been a part of. We do quarterly, they actually run 6 to 8 retreats a year. I try to go to one once a quarter. And what it is they're called immersions, and it's 3 days seriously immersing yourself in a lot of inner game work, sales education, things that if you would have asked me a year and a half ago, I would have said you're absolutely crazy. And that is cold plunges and breath work and meditation and journaling. And I am a SoCal born and raised girl, but if you would have said, do you do anything that crunchy? I would have said, absolutely not. I do breath work now before every new client call. It kind of calms my nerves. Cold plunges are not a joke for anybody that has not done them. I was quickly humbled on that experience as well, especially this last weekend, doing it in a literal river in Colorado. And then the inner game side of it is very interesting. You are only as good as yourself. And I think your mindset, mastering your own mindset, will allow you to master sales to a degree. There's a lot more in between all of what I just said, but we have great leaders. The man who started it used to be a killer rep at Outreach and Microsoft and was crushing quota and doing all these things, hitting like 200% attainment, and went home every night to his apartment and was like, I'm freaking miserable. And I think to a degree, we've all been there where everything seems to be going right, but internally something's still not hitting. And I think he started this at 30 years old. I think he's 32 now and we're all still kind of working on it. Just kind of trying to figure out internally what makes you tick, working on a lot of the mental stuff to be able to succeed in your career and your personal relationships and everywhere in between that.
So what is like intergame? Whenever you say that term, just so then that way, like the viewers can level set. I'm like, what do you mean by intergame?
It's a lot of just honestly kind of looking within and like where your quirks come from first and foremost. I mean, I know like something that came up this last weekend, and not to talk on somebody else's behalf, but it was just like, it kind of ran in my family until it ran into me. And that can be something like workaholism. That could be something as serious as alcoholism. That could be something as basic as job hopping. It's a lot of kind of that. Where did you grow up? How do you see yourself in your career and your personal relationships and things like that? I was very fortunate. For example, my mother worked for the same company for 35 years. She just retired in December. I often credit her for my work ethic. It's fantastic. we've all pulled that 12, 14-hour day. It's not necessarily the greatest thing you should be doing for your mental health. But we do it and we crush and we do all these things. But if you continue to do that, where is that really getting you on a personal level? And like, what kind of backlog are you creating for yourself? One of the mantras in this group that I'm in that we always talk about is leadership. Obviously, I have a massive love with leadership. I'm on record saying like, I don't need management. I need leadership. It's something that speaks to me very well. You cannot lead others without leading yourself. So we have to do that first. And that's a lot of what we do on these weekends and weekly calls that I have. It's not just frigid temps and meditation. It's a lot of kind of, how do you do that first before you can do it for others?
I love that. I feel that to my core. So that is something that's really, really important for me as somebody who is having conversations with people. Like when they say, what are you looking for? It is one of those things I often say is I need to be surrounded by good leaders.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you really are only as strong as those you surround yourself with to a degree. And I think that's seriously important to make sure you're surrounded by the right people.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's pretty cool. I know the breath work, I've been seeing more and more of this from people in our industry. I think like you had mentioned Jody earlier. How do you get into something like this? Is it just, somebody like, if I was interested in something like that, maybe some of our audiences as well, where would I start? Where should I go? Who should I talk to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for this group specifically, it's called Alluvians. You can go to alluvians.co. You can send me an email after this or hit me up on socials and I'll pass the information along. But mine was an intro. It was a very good, like I said, it was my best friend saying, hey, I think you should look into this. And the very first one was actually that I went to was in Carlsbad, which is only down the road for me. It was a little bit less of a commitment. I didn't have to fly anywhere. And I'll be honest, I was like, what in the hippie heck is this? I sat in the Omni in Carlsbad for 3 days being educated by, also, I will be honest, people in a room that I've struggled with imposter syndrome in this group a lot. It is seriously successful tech people, vice presidents of outreach and like these massive CRM companies or like a Microsoft or just people I ordinarily wouldn't be in a room with that had talked about their own struggles or talked about leading a team and feeling like something's missing. So when you're asking how you get to be a part of it, just reach out, whether it's this type of group. If you hear about another one, I think there are kind of smaller conversations being had in our industry about trying to create some of these. I love the fact that this is outside of our industry and absolutely no disrespect. We all love this so much, but it offers me a completely different perspective. Like I kind of like, even on an education piece, like I don't sell cloud infrastructure, but it forces me to put the square peg in the round hole and think about things differently in the way that I sell. For example, one of the things we had to do this weekend is they put us through this exercise where we all had to sell roofs. We had to fake work for a roofing company. And the point of that is 50 of us, none of us sell roofs. And I think to be successful selling something, you should be able to sell anything.
Yeah. I love that. I think that is so cool. Like it's a great way to invest in yourself. You're thinking outside the box. And I think that's how you really get to that evolution of what's next and how do we change and how do we be better. And you're doing a great job in investing yourself. And just a side note, because I'm ADHD brain and squirrel. You said roofing thing. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was like Home Depot now will give you free courses, on and teach you carpentry, electrical work, home remodeling. And I was like, that's crazy. And I went to their website, and it's real. So if you really wanted to learn how to do roofing, you can for free. And I already signed up because I'm going to be a carpenter in my spare time.
I don't think that's new, Meg. I think Home Depot and Lowe's have been doing that for a very long time.
Oh, well, I just heard about it yesterday. So it's new to me, sir.
But you found it on social media, though, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
And that's also how you learn about something like this, through social media. They have a decent social media presence. So
yeah. I was going to say, I think what's so unique about this, and I found the website just so for those of you who are like, how do you spell Alluvance? So it's Viance is what it is. So Alluvance. And so when you go to the site, again, but what I think is interesting is that you're combining like your sales of what you said from an education standpoint, like leveling up, but then combining it with your health and wellness. And I think a lot of times when I hear about retreats, like I've been a part of like Traveling Sisterhood. And so we do retreats and we'll go and we'll do breath work and meditation and that type of thing. But what I'm missing and what I don't get are like those sales, education, leadership trainings, if you will, that really come a part of this. So I feel like a lot of times it's one side or the other. So this is really unique that it's combining both of them in one.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the man who leads the sales actual education, he has his own, like, it's called Sell As You Are. It's a fantastic training course, but we're so lucky that he is actually part of this group as well and leads all of us. And it's not, like I said, it's not just these weekly or weekend retreats. We actually have a weekly call every Tuesday afternoon. And they're kind of cadenced out. So like the first call of the month is sales education. Then we go into other things. We always have a guest speaker, certain things like that. So we're really getting hit with kind of, it runs the gamut, honestly, on topics, whether it is like the inner game stuff or the sales education piece. And it's super important. And honestly, actually, weirdly enough, this weekend, branding was a huge piece of it. And of course, I had to stand up and speak. So yeah,
I love it. That's
but it's
awesome.
great.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's the really unique thing about our conversation that we had, Katie, in San Antonio, was the fact that it's like you guys are doing both things. It's the sales training and the breath work / cold plunge / all that. And Meg, just to go back to your question really quickly, because obviously they are two separate things, even though the unique thing about yours is that they do them together. If you want to get into breath work or like cold plunges and stuff like that, Wim Hof, WIMHOF, is like the main man for breath work and cold plunges. So I would maybe check him out.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, and I can also link you to the woman that does our breath work. Her name is Courtney Russell. Shout out Courtney, for real. She leads something that I never thought would happen. And I think every weekend somebody gets something crazy out of it. I've gotten some crazy things that happen. There's sometimes that I don't. Sometimes I just, lay on a mat and breathe. Sometimes I've cried. Sometimes I've come up with full marketing campaigns in my head for clients. Like, it's just kind of whatever. But Courtney is fantastic. She really makes you like feel safe and led. And she also started her own breathwork company after being a fantastic person at like ADP and Microsoft. So recognizing in the space of, we really need something else here because the stress in what we all do is real.
So
I
Katie,
will say that is, go ahead, Jeff.
no, it's all right, Meg. Go ahead.
I will say that's the one thing that, in the promotional I think you guys just live in this trauma response almost, because the stress is so high and you don't even think about it when you're in it because it's just the day to day. It's what you become to know as your normal. It took me like stepping out to realize even that on my most stressful day in a pet boutique, it is nothing compared to a single day in the life that I had. And I loved it. I was in it. I did it for 22 years, but I think it's super stressful. But there was something else I was going to say, but maybe it'll come back to me after Jeff. But go ahead, Jeff, because I know it was a question I had. Oh no, I remember. Sorry, cut you off again. If you were going to recommend this to like a certain size company, right? Like if you're a distributorship or a suppliership and you wanted to do these types of outings with your crew, like who is this best meant for? Like who would you recommend this for? For our
You mean in terms of size or clientele or?
Yeah.
My honest answer is anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I've seen this group go from 30-ish to 52. A lot of us originally were kind of worried that we'd lose the intimacy of it, and it has not been lost. I think that Alex Frimmer, who started it, does a fantastic job at maintaining the intimacy through smaller breakout groups, or even like on our Tuesday calls, we are often in breakout groups, so you don't lose that and have that overwhelming feeling. I would recommend it to anybody that wants to be challenged. It's not a joke. When I stepped in, the advice given to me was lean all the way in, which I know as humans sometimes is very difficult. Change is scary. I happen to be one of the freaks that loves change, but lean all the way in. And if you're ever in the mood to be challenged and see how you can up level yourself personally or professionally, just go for it.
I love it. I am good with change. So I'll lean into you with that, Katie, as far as change. But I think one of the things is the challenge side, right? Like, and
drive. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you kind of have that, let's see how can I test myself, that drive hunter piece of it. Like I know I keep bringing back the cold plunge thing, and there's so many mixed reviews on that. But even this weekend, I mean, it was in a frigid river. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. And I typically, I'm like, we're just going to go for it. And we did. And you kind of always feel better at the other side of it. But I think it's not just the cold plunge, it's the sales stuff. It's really talking about some like personal within stuff, and managing stress and all the things that you just brought up is a big part of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the cold plunge thing. How long are you staying in now?
We're at 3 minutes. Yeah.
Nice.
The very first one I ever did was actually in this, the San Diego. We were in La Jolla at San Diego, and we did it in the ocean. And it was so funny. I had such a false confidence because everybody was getting rocked by the waves, and a lot of them are from the East Coast. And I was like, I'm fine. Cali girl's fine in her waves. And then the next one I did was in Texas, and it was hotter than heck. And I was like, this is fine. The first one that really humbled me was in Utah. It was 35 degrees outside. We did it outside. I think the water temp was colder than that. And I was angry after.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
We got through
angry.
it, but it was a very humbling experience, which I also appreciate.
That's
So have you turned into one of the crazies that are actually looking into cold plunges for your house now to do it on a regular?
No, I don't, but I
have
do
one,
have several
actually.
friends that do. Yeah.
You have one, Meg?
We bought one. I haven't put it together yet. It's in my barn because when we do jujitsu, I've looked into the cold plunge a lot, and I bought one. I just never set it up yet. But now that I'm here, I'm in New Jersey now until at least April. It gives me the opportunity to really start focusing on this and getting back to just my jujitsu, my yoga, everything. Like, I'm just so excited. So the cold plunge is probably going to get hooked up this week. And I'm into
and I don't know. I am not one of the ones that will ever do it at my home. I do have friends that do it and swear by it. For me, it is seriously all just mental. It's just, what can I kind of beat? And it's the mental fortitude there, where it's like, I know that there are studies on what it does for your body and recovery, and I'm not knocking any of that. I haven't read a ton into it. For me, it's just kind of, can I beat the clock?
Yeah. It's a mental challenge. I mean, that was my workout yesterday, right? Like, I had to run 10 laps around the track, and I was like, oh, Jesus. Like, I literally mental masturbated it all day long. And when I get there, and then I can text like my running coach after and be like, okay, I did this. And like, it didn't feel good. It was hard. And she's like, but you were there, and you accomplished your goal. And so, which is huge. So it is a lot of time. It's like mental toughness, if you will.
So that's something that we talk about a lot is just commitment.
Yeah.
And it's commitment to yourself, commitment to your workout, commitment to your craft. The craft can be the inner game. It can be sales. It can be any of these things. That's actually a big part of it too. Like, we do commitments in this group, whether it's 365 days, it could be 90 days. One of the, this guy actually in the group committed to just making his bed for 100 days. And not that there's a big correlation to this, but all of a sudden he was like the top rep at his company 9 months later. I committed to 100 days of walking as the sun rose specifically, and noticed a complete mental shift in just the way I would start my day. And there's so many days I didn't want to do it, truth be told, whether it was cold here, the morning after one of my very good friend's wedding, I wasn't really in the space, but we did it. And certain things like that, but it was just seeing through the commitment to yourself and whatever that looks like. And I've seen that run the gamut of like making your bed every day, to 365 days of meditation, to, hey, I'm going to do 365 days of studying AI. It's just the commitment to yourself, whether it's like the workout or something like you've talked about. I think it really kind of proves to you how strong you are as a person.
For sure. I agree.
Couldn't agree anymore. Well, I loved it. Meg, Sarah, do you guys have any other follow-up questions or anything else to cover on this one?
No, I've already signed up, and so I'm gonna. So I'm ready.
Great. Can you spell it for me one more time? Because I'm slow, and both times I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. So can you spell it for me, the website?
It's ALLUVIANCE.co.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
Well, Katie, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. So this was a fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm assuming you will all be at the expo in January.
Yeah, Meg, you gonna be there?
Maybe.
Meg?
We'll see.
Think you're gonna be there?
Pressure's on.
I'm
I'm sure we could find a cold plunge somewhere.
I mean,
Right?
oh, there it is. There's definitely cold plunges there. I go to the Mandalay Bay spot every single year, and I do the cold plunge there. That spa is phenomenal.
I didn't even know they had a cold plunge there.
Yeah, it's like, well, they have the cold pools and the hot pools and the medium warm pools, and a eucalyptus steam room is phenomenal.
Well, the steam room is definitely great. All right. Well, Katie, it's been awesome having you on. Do you have anything for us?
No, not really. Thank you all for having me. And yeah, if you have any questions, of course, just reach out. I'm not huge on socials or anything, but you guys can probably find me on LinkedIn. It's just Katie Grimes, Made to Order. But yeah, thank you. It was great to meet you all and have this conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks,
all right,
Katie.
guys.
Awesome.
Until next
Thank
time.
you.
We'll see you.